Well, hello again, Bobby. Hi,
Oh,
everybody.
yes. Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
We got Mama Carol on the line. You guys, Carol Carlson, everybody. This is Mama Carol. She is a CT owner's mother, came to training, attends all these for her daughter, and takes notes and goes back and says, "This is what you missed. You better start getting in line here." So, you guys all know Miss Carol. Carol on the line.
You don't call her Carly.
I don't, because she spells it regular. Everybody, this is Carol Bruno. Do not call her Carly. I'll do that enough. But it reads like Carly, and you want to call her Carly, but it's not. It's Carol.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
learn
just
the hard
Carol.
way. I'll learn
Yeah.
the hard way. So, hello. Hi, Stefanie.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm working from home, so I don't feel like I have a very good setup. Or my office is better, but I didn't have any appointments, so I didn't want to drive 45 minutes just to drive.
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes sense.
and it's blue sky and sunny here in Montana, so I'm not going to complain. 18 degrees this morning, 65 now.
Oh my God. 18. Yikes.
Yeah, 18 is too cold for this southern girl.
I'm like, thank God we haven't broken 100 yet today.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. We just had snow last week.
Oh my God, you guys are still in
Whoa.
snow?
Yeah, Andrea Roberts in Denver posted they got snow today. So yes, we still,
Oh my
Spring
God.
skiing. I bet it's great.
I just don't even know how the other half of you guys live.
It's 90 here in Florida, so yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where are you in Florida? Because I'm not 90, but I am definitely, hang on one second. I am,
Fort Myers.
I'm 86.
I
I'm in
just checked there. It said
Homosassa.
90. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fort Myers.
Yeah. Yep. I'm 86. So
Lisa, Bobby, who you're talking to, she is Marlene and Zach Cohen's BDR. So Lisa is going to be the regional coach for Marlene and Zach, 7 months from
Awesome.
now. FYI. So you have a body and a face to, well, you
Lisa, I'm right there with you. We're at 85 in Alabama, so beautiful today.
it is gorgeous. You're right. Y'all, I had to step away. I do have a emergency break-in phone call, so I will be back as soon as I can.
All right. We won't ask you questions. All right. Let's give everybody a few more minutes to hop in and then.
Hey, Ron, are you gonna get on?
Yeah, Ron, get on. You don't want to miss Stefanie Silvan. Give
You
you
don't
some
want to
boot
miss
camp on
Stefanie
BDR training.
Silvan. That's what
Definitely
I've
don't
been
want to
told
miss
by
Stefanie.
Cherie.
You want to miss out on this boot camp you're about to get in the best way, the best kind of boot camp.
Come on, Ryan, get on there. We need a guy. We got a bunch of women on here.
We got Eddie on here. Eddie's in
Eddie?
the New York, New Jersey.
And Todd, there's Todd.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we got Todd coming in. We got Carrie Dewick. Carrie, what's your weather like? Are you guys getting snow still? No, just kidding.
Funny. No, it's beautiful, perfect spring weather, but it's gonna rain this weekend.
We got Washington up in here. Ethan, it's Jennifer Williams in the Colorado area. He's with Jennifer Williams. All right. All right. Well, they'll pop in as they come. So thanks for all of you guys that have joined. I know it's Good Friday. I definitely didn't realize it was like kind of a holiday weekend when I rescheduled Stefanie to do it this day. So that probably is affecting our attendance a little bit. But
well, I listened to the new George Strait album and it's very appropriate for Good Friday.
Oh, well, fantastic.
If you haven't heard it and you like country music, I happen to love George Strait. So it's got 3 nails and a cross. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for the share. I appreciate that. So Stefanie Silvan, she's a 10-year owner. She's about what, 9 years in, Stefanie? 7. Okay, almost. I'm a little overzealous for her. So she's going in on her 7th year of business. She's in a very rural area, Western Montana, but she is doing big and great things with her BDR. Some of you guys were fortunate enough to come to Summit a couple weeks ago, and she did this whole presentation, and so much information. I mean, I myself took like a page and a half, and I talk to you guys all the time on networking and marketing and BDR, and I was still found things and tips and tricks to kind of take away from her. So she's coming with lots of wealth and knowledge here to really kind of structure how you guys should, you know, spend the time training, teaching, then coaching, setting goals, holding accountable, doing check-ins, and then tracking and measuring, giving some feedback and stuff like that. So she's going to kind of walk you through her process. I'm going to be honing in on the chat section. And so if you guys want to, you know, if you got a question that pops up, just type it in the chat. I'll respond back if I have the answer. If I don't, then I'll wait till Stefanie kind of comes to a pausing spot, and then I'll kind of feed in some of these questions as we go. And then at the end, the last like 10 or 15 minutes or so, we'll open the whole floor up to whatever questions that you guys want to discuss and talk about. So without further ado, Stefanie Silvan, go ahead and take it away. Feel free to share your screen and get started.
Thank you. Well, first, welcome. I love seeing all the new faces. But yeah, so May 2nd is my anniversary. So 7 years in a couple of weeks. So very exciting about that. My rural territory, if you haven't seen it on a map, is Montana. I'm on the west side of Montana. So from Canada down to Idaho. One-way drive for me is 5 hours. So I don't do that a ton, but I do have two big cities, Kalispell, where Flathead Glacier Park is at. And then Missoula, south of Missoula, is where the show Yellowstone was filmed, about 20 minutes from my house. So that's just kind of my demographic area. So definitely a lot of rural. I hired my first BDR a year ago. So I'm going to take you through kind of what I did. So I'm going to share my screen. It looks like it's your screen.
Oh,
Sheree.
am I going to have to, let me give you, hold on, let me give you hosting.
Okay.
Oh, it's not going to let me.
Oh,
It says to bypass. Let me see. Nope.
well, while she's working on that, I love
But I'm going to
Kalispell.
open
I'm
it.
coming to,
I'll share it on my end.
Oh, good. You've been to Kalispell?
yes, skiing. We love it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Been
Big
twice.
mountains there in Whitefish.
Yeah.
So because
Beautiful.
I will tell you, I'm kind of in your boots as well, even though I've been in 7-year business. I have a BDR in my Missoula area, but because Kalispell's 2.5 hours, I am currently hiring for a BDR up in Kalispell. So, you know,
So this is not your first BDR. It's not your
my
first.
first BDR, this is actually my third BDR that I've hired a year ago.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I hired part-time to try to help up in Kalispell, and that was not successful. So I do believe in hiring someone full-time, 35 to 40 hours a week. So they're committed to the business instead of just half in, half out, 15, 20 hours. So I do believe the full-time has benefited us. And having her be in Missoula so I can train her and do consultations with her. My BDR does networking, marketing, and consultations. So again, I have a job description. I'm happy to pass that out for you guys to look at because there's a lot on her plate. I pay her hourly for the networking and marketing. She has a pretty set schedule, 9 to 5. On Wednesdays, she works 7 to 3 because she does a networking meeting at 7 a.m. And then I pay her a commission structure when she closes contracts. So there's 2 different pay because I'm expecting 2 different things from her. There's been some successes and some hurdles to overcome with both of that. But I'm happy to get into that as well. I strongly believe there was an email that just went out about mentorship. So I'm happy to answer any questions, happy to do email with you guys down the line because I love helping people. Obviously, we're in this business to help people. So it helps me. I get new ideas from you guys as well as helping each other just benefit Caring Transitions as a whole. So, all right, so let's get to our agenda today. Sheree, are you then have access to go from screen to screen?
Yep. So I'll just kind of follow along with you and kind of cue you through as you go. I'll take your lead.
Got it. All right. So we're going to cover get ready to hire a BDR. I believe in processes and being prepared. So going over those documents, setting expectations and accountability with your BDR, the training and development, which I have a 30, 60, 90 day again, worksheet that you guys can get from Cherie. I'm happy to send that as well. I don't know if they're going to upload that on Fran Connect or not. And then my key learnings, I know it's weird on 8 months, but I hired her in March. So we had an 8-month check-in in December, and then just her 1-year review actually last Friday.
Right.
All right, so making sure that we are ready. When someone comes new into your business, specifically your BDR, you're going to create the culture. So making sure that you have your training documents ready, printed out, your training checklist, what they're going to go over, the 30, 60, 90 day, you can have a copy for you and a copy for them to put in a binder. Make sure you have an Excel spreadsheet. Again, this is something that we do. I have an Excel spreadsheet where she tracks her contacts or touches, depending on what you label them. And then that they have access to Fran Connect. I love ChatGPT. I will tell you, I've been big into that the last 3 months. Go and use ChatGPT and create 10 referral categories in your area. They will print out your contact, the address, the phone number, have all of that printed out for your BDR. And every time there's a slow period or they don't know where to network, they don't know what to do, they can always go back to those 10 different categories. So for example, I wrote attorneys, financial advisors, your top 10 realtors, and your senior communities. You should have all of that prepped and ready to give to your BDR. They are then going to expand that list, but you have to have a base for them to start with. And then you want to list 3 to 5 KPIs that you want to track. So we specifically tracked touches per week. Remember the 12, 2, and 1, right? Everybody's still learning the 12, 2, and 1. Okay. So we worked that backwards from our volume, our gross revenue, and ours ended up being 20 touches a week. Okay. Consult to contract rate, also called your close rate. Mine is 75% monthly. We track that. We track how many network meetings she's going to on a monthly basis, whether they're reoccurring or a new one. And then her gross revenue.
There it is.
Okay, so some expectations that you should set. So setting the tone. I think it's difficult when people hire someone else to take their responsibility. Sometimes people hire and say, oh, they know the job, good to go. That is not going to work if you want consistent growth. So making sure that you're setting the tone and the expectations for them. I would suggest having a weekly check-in with them, whether that's on a Monday or a Friday. Okay, just put it on your calendar and their calendar. Make sure that you're scheduling the hours that they need to work. Share a calendar. So my BDR, her name is Maddie. She's been with me for a year. That was from day one. She's going to share her calendar with me where she's at. There's many reasons for that. And then making sure that she's planning 1 to 2 weeks out. So if she's light on the schedule next week, on my check-in on Friday, I'm going to say, hey, what's going on with your touches or contacts next week? Do you need some help? How can I support you in making sure that we're getting those metrics? Again, going back to metrics, your close rate, 12, 2, and 1. How many touches, contacts we're getting, and then her sales volume, gross revenue. Okay, weekly. This is super important right at the beginning. Once you've done the 30, 60, 90 day training and they're kind of on their own. If they're not hitting their goal or they are hitting that goal, bringing that up in every conversation. How are your touches going? What are you struggling with? What successes are we having? So you are no longer having to do those touches, but you have to hold your BDR accountable in having those conversations. Make sure that they enter information into your Fran Connect and spreadsheet. We all know BDRs quit, employees quit. You want to make sure that information is in Fran Connect so you can build your business with Fran Connect if your BDR leaves, and having that follow up. And then what reoccurring network meetings are we having weekly? So my BDR has one Wednesday morning at 7 and Thursday morning at 9. And then she has monthly meetings as well. Those count towards her touches, but what are we getting on those meetings? What's her ROI on those meetings, right? So that's important to have that conversation weekly with them. Monthly, Making sure that they're hitting their gross revenue. Go back to touches if they're not. If your goal monthly is $20,000 and they hit $15,000 in gross revenue, what's going on? Are they hitting their touches? If they're not hitting their touches, go back to that 10 categories of the referral partners. Okay, so that's why you have all of those printouts. Number of events that they're attending, how many new faces? We all hire a BDR to expand our net, right? We want more people to know about caring transitions. So how many new people did your BDR bring to you last month? That's really important, because if they're just touching people that you've already created relationships with, are they expanding your touch? So that, again, is accountability for them. And then who sent us business? Right now, we are between 10 and 12 paid contracts a month. And when we have that Excel spreadsheet that we track, we're also tracking the referral. So goes back to, okay, Maddie, you're in this weekly networking group. Last month, we didn't get any paid clients from that networking group. What is the ROI? Is it worth your time to stay in that networking group? Okay. Next. Okay, so please do not scan that QR code. That is incorrect. I took it off mine, but I didn't send it to Sheree to update it. So that's for all the documents that we used at the summit. So we will get you those documents. These are just some networking groups and some referral partners ideas. So your chamber, some people love their chamber, some people aren't great. So depending on the effort that you guys put into that. Your realtor groups, Real Producer and more. That's the Missoula Organization of Realtors. Every realtor in our community is required to be a member of that. So that's a great networking group for us. Create your own. 7 years ago, when I was at training, they said, if you don't have a senior networking group, create one. We did. It's called Senior Networking Group, S&G. I'm happy if you want to take it. The name. There's no fee. We meet monthly for an hour and a half. We try to have our senior communities host. One, they're corporate, pretty easy to meet in their conference room, and they provide lunch. There is no fee to be in our meeting. We actually just hosted at our office 2 months ago, and lunch was $250. So that's kind of your fee to be in the group. All we ask is that everybody shows up or sends us an email to be respectful that they're not going to show. That group has over 25 people in it, and we built it 7 years ago. So again, if you do not have a senior networking group, it's all senior-based businesses. So we have the communities, we have a financial advisor, we have a couple of realtors, we have hospice, we have in-home care, we have age in place, anything and everything, again, to help you build your business, have them come to that group. We are also in a biz to biz. It's a weekly referral-based business. I know nationwide it's usually called BNI, but ours is called biz to biz. So make sure your BDR is in one of those. Referral partners, again, to encourage them of those categories. The realtors, are you presenting at realtors? Ours have meeting every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. So your BDR should be in front of those realtors all of the time. Senior communities, can they do an event there? Estate attorneys, financial and insurance advisors, and then past clients in Google. So going back to their spreadsheet and connecting to those referral partners on a consistent basis. Okay, so here's our training plan. We're going to go over to begin 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Again, I have a full sheet on all of these. So these are just brief. We'll send those out to you guys. But to begin, make sure that you have office supplies ready for them. Are you going to give them a cell phone? Are you going to have a laptop? We have a notebook. We have a binder for them. We have printouts for phone intakes. Make sure you have all of that stuff ready before they come into the office. Give them an overview of caring transitions in your specific location. Our best referral partners are our senior communities. For consistency on moves, we're in their weekly, and then realtors. So give them what is your bread and butter. What's her best or ROI to bring in, his or hers. What type of marketing that you do? What's your sales strategy? Sales tools, again, online, connections, service training, and then that website training. In 30 days, they're going to become an expert. Where you go, they go. Okay? They literally should be connected to your hip. Any meeting that you have, they should be going with you. Office work, partnership, full time. Okay? Understanding your culture. My culture is that we're all on a team. We're all in this together. What is your culture? Division of duties. What are they responsible for in other team members? I would advise you, my next bullet is having them go to on-site. They need to know what your sorting and organizing team does. Literally schedule your BDR in the first 30 days to go to a project. If you're expecting them to write a contract, they need to know how to sort and organize, how to pack, how to move, how to do auction photos, how to do a full house clean out so that they can better do estimates. Maddie's required to be on 2 projects a month, puts it in her schedule, and then my director of ops schedules her. Okay, so that's the first 30 days. So it's a huge investment for BDRs, but I promise you it will pay off. The next 30 days is demonstrate expertise. So begin making phone calls from the call center. So then I added her to maximum. So then she's getting those text messages and we're going over that. Okay. You are going to start shadowing them. Create their in-home consultation binder and paperwork. What are they going to need to do a consultation by themselves? Because the last 30 days, they went to every consultation with you. And now they need to see what works for them. Discuss presentations with them and have them role play. Again, GPT is amazing at this. Enter in, I'm a carrying transitions. I need a role play with my BDR. How do I network? How do I close sales? How do I, connect with the senior community? It will print them out less than 2 minutes and you can just read those role plays. I know no one likes role plays. It works. Okay. Next 30 days, let them own their own schedule. By now they've been to meetings. They have met people. They need to start scheduling one-on-ones with referral partners. Okay. So you're slowly backing up. You're slowly having them take over. This is when you're going to start doing those weekly check-ins, kind of have the handoff. Okay. You need to verify who they're meeting. My BDR met someone from our TV station here and they set up a power hour and she's like, that was kind of worthless because they wanted me to advertise on TV and that's not my decision. And I said, okay, so let's make sure we're intentional in who we're meeting. Again, who's the ROI, right? Going back to those referral partners categories. This is when you're going to start coaching and mentoring. You're still directing them. I think so many people hire people and they like, oh, you know the job, go and do it. You're still coaching them, giving them direction, helping them build your business and incentivizing them with your culture. Okay. And then make sure you have follow-up with them. Always refer back to training resources, videos, and discussions that you had. Make sure that you ask them to take notes during training. I don't care how great you are. This is a new job. So make sure they take notes so they can go back to that.
Oh, I think I went 2 slides. Oh, no, I didn't. Just kidding.
All right. This is my quote. Data is good. Decisions made based on that data are better. Okay. I am a big data person. And by the email that we got today, KPIs being reported to home office monthly, they know that data is good. But then taking that data and making decisions based on that are always better. So any conversation I have with my BDR, I try to use data versus opinion. So it's not me versus her. Okay. You met your touches last week. Great. You did not meet your touches last month. Let's talk about that. It's just the data. Looking at the data. What's her close rate? What is she struggling with? How did she get a 90% close rate? Right? Well, those were all easier contracts. They were only $1,500. I missed the $10,000 contract. Okay, let's talk about that. Your data is going to give you kind of your conversation guide. All right. Yep.
Yep. That was sensitive.
Okay. So this is a little bit repeat, but we'll just go over it real quick. Your weekly check-in, make sure that you have a plan and an agenda and a goal with every meeting. This shouldn't be an hour-and-a-half conversation every single week, maybe at the beginning, but make sure that it's super simple. You're just touching base, asking them what they need from you. How can you support them? What's their struggles? What are they doing well? Make sure you have an agenda. Again, looking at your data, not just opinion. Who are they meeting? How many different industries are they bringing to the table? And are they being intentional about who they're meeting? I think sometimes when you give them a goal of 20 meetings a week, It's super easy to just meet with the same old for a checklist. That's why you're having the conversation about who are you meeting? Intentional meetings. Brand Connect, making sure that they're helping to build your business on the backside, that they are putting those contacts and they're being added to the groups. So then the email for CT bids or the monthly email that goes out will go to all those referral sources. Spreadsheets, keeping track of your KPIs. Under metrics, why is this important? Again, data is great for our businesses to see what's actually happening, not what we think is happening. How do you create specific metrics touches? Happy to go over that, going back to the 12, 2, and 1, work backwards. Again, my average project, looking at my data, was $5,000 a year and a half ago. And so I broke that down of how many contracts I need per month to make my monthly goal of 50,000 at a 75% close rate. How many touches is that? That's how I got the 20 per week. I am currently doing that. I will tell you, let me just look at my notes real quick. For my Kalispell BDR, and it's fascinating how that 12, 2, and 1 changes based on your average contract, right? So if my goal is 18,000 a month, my average contract is 1,500. I need to get 12 contracts, which means 16 consultations and 96 touches a month, which comes down to about 24 touches a week. All of those networking count as a touch. Okay. So 24 divided by 5 is what? 25 divided by 5 is about 5 a day, 4 or 5 a day, right? So they can stack them. Now, if our average is 3,000 contract, she needs 6 contracts, 8 consultations, and 48 touches, which only is 12 a week. So it truly is based on your metrics. The 12, 2, and 1 is great. I don't really know where you guys are at in business. If this is your first 30 days or your first 6 months, you may not have all of these metrics, right? But I think it's important to change your goals and have those conversations, and looking at your data is super critical in order to give them a realistic goal. Okay, so you can start with the 12, 2, and 1. And if that's easy, then change it in 30 days. Okay, but looking at your average contract, paid clients, again, what you're reporting to home office is what we go off of. So sometimes Maddie last summer got an 18-week downsizing. We just went to see the client once a week. So she didn't get to count that for 18 weeks. So that's why it's constantly having touches and meeting people and trying to convert them then into a contract. So the 12, 2, and 1 works, I promise you, but make sure that it's working for your business on where you're at in business. Let's see, spreadsheets. Tracking time spent, good and bad. Again, we go over her metrics a lot. Who did she connect with? And now she's to the point that she's like, I shouldn't have met with that person. I don't know why. They're about social and media marketing, has nothing to do with us. They'll never send us a referral. Great, next. So you're going to have good and bad conversations. Accountability piece, take the emotion out of the equation. Track good and not so good referral partners. I think it's important. We have 4 main communities that we get consistent business from in the Missoula market. And I said that she needs to touch base with them every 2 weeks. I have a realtor that sent us 6 jobs last year. You need to be in front of her monthly. If you meet with a realtor and you check back in 30 or 60 days and they don't really understand what Caring Transitions do, go on to the next realtor. So that's why it's critical to take those notes on the referral partners for you. And then what source are the projects coming in from? Critical when business picks up. Who do I need to connect to? I just told her last month, it's springtime in Montana. Realtors are starting to get listings. It starts to pick up here because we don't have snow, even though we had it last week. So she pushed for realtors the next 3 weeks. So again, this coaching and mentoring with your BDR is not a hire and done. It's not even a 30, 60, 90 day. It's consistently having those conversations with them. You are no longer doing the BDR. You don't have to go to the networking meetings, the after hours, all of the things, but you have to make sure that you're having conversations to hold them accountable. Okay.
Stephanie, real quick before we go on, Julie Billy would like to know if you know what your closing rate is currently for your BDR. Like, where is she at pretty consistently at the end of her like 1 year?
Sure. So we didn't take the average, but I will tell you for Q1 in January, she was at 85%, 75%, and 40% in March. So it dropped.
Okay.
She did have a death in the family in March. Her cat had diabetes, like all of the things. And so she was really upset that she had 40% last month. And I said, okay, let's regroup and let's move forward. Let's get back to 75%. And so we're talking about how to be more confident in closing. So that's why I think it's important to
So
look at
what is that? So I'm sorry, it's Julie. What is your, not just what are they closing or how many, but what is it that they're closing?
As far as the average of the contract?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have a BDR,
Okay.
right? But she doesn't do consults for me.
Okay.
And maybe that's the difference, right? And I'm trying to figure out based on what I'm watching here, where am I, where should she be? As far as do we close? I mean, should she be closing things or is it just, so let me give you an example.
Okay.
We, spent $125 on a realtor group's vendor fair.
Okay.
I'd pay $125 to be at the American Legion with our stuff. I have gotten 2 $7,000 moves off that $125. So do I attribute those 2 moves to her as close, or do I attribute a percentage? I mean, I'm trying to understand because I don't,
the marketing versus
she doesn't do any sales technically, quote unquote. She's not going on my consults. I'm the consult person.
Yeah. So you're closing. I would say, I mean, $125 for a vendor fair is a great price. The other cost of that is how long I'm assuming she was there for a table, right? For 6 hours, 5 hours at that fair.
Yeah, 9 to 2. I was 2.
So then that's also an expense, is her payroll to be there and the setup and all of the prep to get there. So maybe you're at $500, $600, right? And if she was able to talk 2 people into calling you and then you closed, that would be a close, but for you, because you're closing the contract. Now she brought you that business. So it would go back to what is your culture in your business and your expectation when you're paying your BDR? Is it to bring referrals to you? And when they call in maximum and it says, it was from that fair, then you want to recognize her for that, then she closed that deal. She brought you a new referral source. But you actually closed the contract. So it depends on what her job description is. Now, when Maddie goes and does a fair, my goal for her is to bring clients, but also to meet other vendors to be consistent referral partners. So I don't track those vendor fairs other than it's an expense.
Yeah,
Okay,
I feel like
so
I would
you're
track
not
the
looking
spend on the return on this vendor fair is what I would be tracking. Like if I would put that 7,000 against the 125 that I paid for the vendor, like the experience is how I would track it.
and that's the way I'm tracking it, right? Because she's not doing consults. I mean, I'm still doing all the consults.
Sure.
And I've been doing this over 6 years as well. And I'm to the point that, there's nobody that can sell ice to Eskimos like I can. So I mean, I'm sorry being, you know, whatever, but I'm not gonna let her take consults. I'm
Okay.
just not.
Sure. And I think
And
everybody,
so, but I sold these consults based on that vendor fair. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I, based on what you're talking about, how do I appropriately compensate and incentivize?
I would
And
go
maybe
back to
that's not
referral.
maybe that's not the goal of this conversation. And I appreciate your tenure and your information, but it may not be what we're supposed to be asking. So
I
well,
think it's
maybe
each
you and
business
I
is
can talk
different.
later.
You guys should touch base later, because I think you're talking slightly different. And I think going back to what Stephanie's saying, you just need to, how you're aligning to pay her. If the expectation is I'm going to get a portion, like a percentage of any lead that comes through from this vendor fair, then maybe that's how you're tracking it. If she's just here to bring you leads and you're the closer, then you're not tracking it against her. It's just against you and or whatever projects came in for that marketing spend dollars, I think. So I think it's going back to that expectation you're setting. Am I paying you a full percentage, a partial percentage? What is that expectation going to be going into that vendor fair that you guys are doing? Because I think it's probably going to depend on even the event sometimes. I don't think you want to sit here and say one thing when it might change depending on the quality of the vendor fair that you're like attending. Some might produce a lot of
totally.
projects, others might not produce very much. So,
well, and then you have to
Right.
think about, if she brought you the referral, but you didn't close the contract, should she still get an incentive for that? Because she brought the referral, but you didn't close.
yeah.
Or is she not bringing you a hot referral, as they were called? So I think you need to create a spreadsheet for that. I mean, I love spreadsheets. So if that's what you want to incentivize on her bringing the lead, and then it's your job to close, it may be, if you bring me 10 leads this month, you get an extra $100. But, or if it's when you close. So I think there's a couple different things in that, and I'm happy to look at a different way to incentivize them. Again, going back to what your goal is of your BDR, because everybody has different goals of their BDR.
Yeah.
Right?
Is she doing the follow-up after the networking event?
Well, she would be. That's a part of her expectation, is to do the follow-up and the touch points. Those would still fall in her touch point line.
Okay.
Yep. And at any networking event or any fair, her goal is to have 5 one-on-ones. So that will fill her calendar, because I don't want her to just go to the fair and have a table and say hi to everyone. I want the follow-up, the intentional, you know, one-on-ones after that, because we can only talk so much about our business at a table, right? And so I want her to be meeting those people afterwards. And so that's our goal at a fair. It's to get our name out, to brand, to, you know, network with other vendors, but then ultimately have meetings with those referral partners and clients afterwards. So.
All right, let's get back on track here, because I know we had more time in the summit conference to go through this.
Okay.
So I want to make sure we get through all of it.
All right, so here's some learnings that I had with my new BDR. Be firm, yet understanding. Again, she did not make last month, but I understand what's happening in her personal life. So we're all human. Let them do the job you hired them to do. This is a big one. You don't need to step in. Allow them. If you've trained them properly and you have confidence in them, let them do the job you hired them to do. So you can work on other things. You cannot hold someone accountable without first having training and expectation. So if you don't lay the groundwork, you can't hold them accountable. In order to grow your caring transitions, you must be able to let go. Let go of the things someone else can do and maybe one day better than you. So that was difficult for me. I was like, no one can close a contract like I can. Now, I did close 4 out of 4 contracts in February. And that's okay. I still am doing consultations. That's how busy we are. But making sure that I've let go of the story I told myself that someone else can't sell caring transitions. Someone else can't. She's amazing at networking. She's amazing at presentations to realtors. Our brand awareness has grown significantly. So making sure you don't tell yourself that story. People can have the same passion as you for your business. Keep them in their lane. Sometimes the feedback from my BDR that she knows more than me, making sure that she is a BDR and that she stays in her BDR lane versus marketing lane or director of operations, so that you are still the business owner. You set the tone, you create your culture, and what do you ultimately want? So I'd go back to Julie and say, what do you ultimately want from your BDR? What's her job description? And can you create a KPI from that job description? Again, happy to go over that one-on-one. Consistency is key. She's been with me for over a year. There's still mentorship. There's still collaboration. We're still a team. Please don't hire someone and expect them to bring in a ton of business or do their job without mentorship from you. And then let them fall. Coach your expectations and then reward them. All right, so my 8 months check-in, this was back in December, goals that need to be set from a proven past. So again, that 12, 2, and 1, that does work. My close rate for the 5 years prior when I was BDR was a 90% close rate. I did lower hers to 75%. And I would say looking back at the last year now, she's pretty consistent at that. I would say between 70 and 80%. And then your average project from the last year when you're trying to do your touches. Good employees will do what you expect and inspect. Ask for their buy-in. Have them create new goals. This was fantastic. She was struggling a little bit with some of the KPIs, so I asked her to create KPIs that she feels are fair. She gave herself different points for different touches, like a fair or a presentation. She wanted 2 points versus 1. We set up the goals, and she had a much better track record in Q1. So we are going to move forward with that. And then make sure you find a mentor for your BDR. She's talked to a couple people from home office. She's on the BDR call once a month with Kelsey. If she has a local mastermind group that you guys can connect her to, again, so it's not always coming from you as the owner. Outside input is great too. Or another CT location. Her 1-year check-in. So we had our review last week, which was great. Overall health of our business, we were up last year in gross sales. Ask your question, are they paying for themselves? If you're paying a BDR $50,000, are you making $75,000? Are you making $100,000? So they're paying for themselves. Any salesperson should be paying for themselves. And then are they expanding your reach? Again, what effort is coming in? What referrals are coming in? Are they coming in from your BDR or are they coming in from you?
Well, I don't even know what just happened. I like moved my mouse and it went back. Sorry.
Again, what is working, what is not? Go to your data, look at your data. A couple of years ago, I tried to estimate what my average project was, and I went back and I was way off. How many clients do we help per year? I was off again. Last year, we helped 108 clients. So it's important to know your data and to track it. Feedback from your community and your partners. I did meet with a couple of other entrepreneurs in Missoula prior to doing her review, and everybody loves her. So it's important to get outside feedback as well. What is the reputation of Caring Transitions with your BDR? Touches. She created a plan with a point system, like I said, could keep with no bonus, could adapt. Again, have your BDR be a part of the plan versus you just dictating everything. Not at the beginning. You set the expectations, and then a year in, she's more of a collaboration, what's going to work for her and grow our business.
What? That was it? I thought we had way more. All right. We did have enough time. Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Yeah. Let's open up to the questions. If anybody else has some questions that they would like to chime in on after you've let all that process for a minute. We've had some happening in the chat room, but they've all kind of been answered high level.
Okay.
All right, guys. What do you got for Stephanie here?
Do you have an example? Oh, sorry. Do you have an example of how you write your ad to find a qualified BDR?
I I have one posted right now for Kalispell, so it's on Indeed. But basically I take the job description and copy and paste it into Indeed. I also, it depends on what you're looking for as well. I think every location has a different expectation of their BDR. And so, you know, if you want someone with experience, you're going to have to pay them more. So again, are they bringing in that business, right? Maddie was pretty green as far as sales go, where I'm paying my BDR up in Kalispell a lot more because I need an executive BDR, someone that's been a BDR. So I'm paying her 28 versus 22 an hour plus commission. And so I think it depends on exactly what you're looking for. But I would encourage you to put that into ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's great. It's amazing.
I'm starting to use that.
In a month from now, you'll be using it probably 40% more than you are.
Yes.
Hey, Stefanie, can you touch a little bit on how you're incentivizing and how your pay structure works? Because I know you mentioned it a little bit at conference. Somebody had asked that question. Because you kind of like take, if you hit this, and then you start making your kind of commission on top of that. So can you maybe just share with them how you're doing it? I get this question asked a lot, and you know, it's kind of all over the board, and it's to each their own in a sense of owners and what they want to kind of promote to their BDRs, incentivize them.
Yeah, I think it's super challenging. I talked to a lot of other owners before I created my own. And so again, I pay her 22 an hour. She's hourly. And then I figured out my monthly expenses, my base monthly expenses, and my margin per project. And so this year, with all of my expenses, I need to hit $49,000 per month to break even. So she doesn't make any commission until she brings in $49,000 in contracts. Okay. And then any 49 to like 60,000, she gets 1%. So that incentivizes her to not stop at 50,000, because if she makes 55, she'll get 1% of the 55. 60,000 to like 75 maybe is 2%. 75 to 90 is 3%. Anything over $90,000 is 4%.
Ooh.
Commission. So, my LY for quarter one was 30,000 for January, February, March. So I was very clear in December. You're probably not going to bonus first quarter. We did not. We hit January. We hit 71,000. Or 94,000 technically for corporate. However, some of those 20,000 was over 30 days unpaid. You do not get commission if the client doesn't pay right away. There was some pushback on that. Well, how is that my job? Well, that's your job at the consultation to ensure that we're getting paid. If I don't have money, how do I pay you commission? So I have a whole page on the commission structure on how that all works. The last 2 months, she missed 1 month by $800, and boy, was she mad. And then this last month, I had more paid contracts. So it's only her contracts together. Whatever we hit, if it's 60,000, and then she brought in 55,000 and I brought in 5,000, she would get her bonus on her contracts. But collectively, if we hit over 50, she'll get a bonus. So April, our goal is 70,000. So I'm hoping that she gets a bonus. We have a couple auctions going on right now that should help us bump over that $70,000. So she has an amazing spreadsheet that tracks us as a team and tracks her individual contracts. So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This is Julie again. So I'm struggling because my current BDR buys in. So without monetary incentives. And so she's all about carrying transitions of Winston-Salem. So how well, I guess, I mean, is that something you haven't seen?
Can you explain what do you mean by buys in? Like she's a partner, a business partner?
No, there's no incentive. She makes her hourly. She clocks in and out. She does her thing. And the one thing I will say is we did $125 vendor fare, and I got $14,000 in pack jobs.
But she's not doing any consultations.
And she's not, no. She is marketing all the way.
And so I guess I don't understand your question.
I'm trying to understand, I guess, where I'm missing, or maybe I'm not. I should probably just be thankful and move on. But I guess that's the question is, does every marketing person need an incentive? Because in my mind, there's a difference between marketing our business and selling our business.
Yes.
And so that's sort of, because she might get the referral that gets us the consult, but I'm still doing the consults.
Do you ever want to step away from doing the consults?
Yeah, one day.
Okay.
But not right now.
Okay. And do you think she needs incentive, or is she bringing you, so she brought you $14,000, but for me, again, I'm thinking long-term, right? So is she bringing you business consistently, and should she get incentivized for that? That would be a discussion between her. Maybe she's happy at her hourly wage and she just wants to be bubbly and out in the community.
And I'm trying to figure that out. That's and I don't want to be caught off guard. Right. So that's one of the reasons I'm on the call.
Sure.
Because she's the first in 6 years, the first BDR that's actually, so for those of you who aren't in it or less than 2 years, less than 4 years, whatever, sometimes you gotta have a BDR posse. How about I say it that way? Or a progression, right?
Hey, Julie, I don't want to cut you off, but we got about like 9 or 10 minutes left. And I know Ethan has a question real quick. So I want you to connect with Stefanie, later today or maybe next week or something.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Sheree.
No, yes. You're good. But I do think she'll be a good touch point for you, because you guys have been in the business about the same time and have probably similar experiences. So I think it's worth it for you to connect with Stefanie outside. I do. I really do. But Ethan, what is your question? Come on in.
Hey, so I'm Ethan. I'm a newer BDR here in Denver. I've been here about a month and a half now. So one of the things, this is kind of a little more in the weedsy and kind of the skills of it. But one of the things that I was struggling with is just like scheduling one-on-ones with realtors specifically. I feel like I've been able to, it's been pretty easy to schedule with both assisted living and also like placement people. Sorry. So I was just wondering if you could have your BDR like fake a prospecting call with me for a realtor after we hop off, just to kind of see their strategies. I feel like I get the message out and then they're like, great, send me an email. And it's hard to like move past that, And I don't know if you have any other strategy or like fake an open house kind of deal, just to kind of see how I could be maybe improving a little bit for that.
So you're just trying to get a meeting one-on-one with a realtor for them to understand our services. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think, again, not knowing the conversation, but the biggest thing is realtors get solicited a lot. And so you've got to make sure, and realtors are selfish, just to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cynthia's a real estate agent. Okay.
Yeah, so hold on. I
Shots
can
fired.
caveat that by saying my husband got his real estate license to get referrals. So it's not a bad thing to be selfish at all. But you have to tell them what's in it for them. Hey, I know you're a crazy hot realtor and you've got a ton of listings. I want to help you get more listings. Let's chat. So I think it might be your catchphrase to get in with them. I'm happy to kind of do one-on-one with you. But they want to sell houses, right? They make thousands of dollars to sell a house. They're like, what are you going to do for me? That's what I would say is the biggest thing to get connected with them. I will say Maddie connects with a lot of realtors on Alignable, LinkedIn, and it's a message, and then just pick a specific time. Hey, I've got next Thursday at 2. If that doesn't work, the following week. I have a whole presentation on like planning your schedule 1 to 2 weeks out. Don't be afraid to put something 3 weeks out on your schedule, specifically with a realtor if you want to get in, if they're a hot realtor, right? Because they're busy. They may have a full team. But giving them a couple of specific times. I want to meet with you to help you get more listings. I don't need more listings. Well, let me help your clients, the ones that are struggling to put their house on the market. Do something what's called show ready, declutter a house. That helps you get a listing. So I think if you can do that catchphrase right away and then give them specific times to meet, that will help. But if not, I'm happy to connect you with Maddie as well.
And have you done
Thanks.
some,
Yeah.
let me ask you, Ethan, have you done some of their sales meetings and maybe brought breakfast? Have you done that?
I have not. How would I find out like when those would be, and then how would I get my foot in the door?
Well,
That'd be a great idea.
in our area, and it sounds like also in Montana, they're Tuesday mornings. Some have them weekly, some have them once a month. But if you call the receptionist at the real estate office, they'll know when their sales meeting is. And then what you want to do, at least in Keller Williams, we have an MCA who really is in charge of scheduling those. So you would touch base with her and get on the schedule, offer to bring breakfast, ask approximately how many people show up. But a lot of the teams, only one person will come out of the team. So you also, once you learn who the teams are, and you can learn a lot of that by looking at Zillow, looking at realtor.com, that kind of thing. Then you can also do a smaller one for each individual team. And that's going to put you out front and center with those realtors.
Great. Yeah, thanks. That's a great suggestion. I hadn't thought of that.
Cynthia is also a real estate agent if you ever just want to reach out to her. There's
Yes,
several
absolutely.
in the network. There's several
Absolutely.
in the network. You just throw a quarter and you'll hit one.
That's
You know,
right.
my sister is actually an agent here in Denver, and I was practicing a little bit with her because I was like, what would keep you on the phone? Like, how do I not get you to think I'm a prospecting call and you just hang up? Like, so that's funny. Yeah.
Mine are all sent directly to voicemail. And if they leave a good message, I call them back. Yeah, I would get a face in front of them first before you make the phone call, only because it's easier for them to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Anybody else? We probably got time for about one more question if anybody wants
to add something real quick that I was really successful with at my senior living communities, especially the ones that are just being built. I pop into those and then I offer to do presentations for them, and I've gotten a lot of business that way.
Nice. Todd Osborne, everybody. It's going to be Rookie of the Year next year.
No, somebody else will.
Why not you? You could do it.
That's what I'm talking about, Stefanie. Why not you?
Todd Osborne is Rookie of the Year next year.
Negative.
I preach for the Southeast.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, thank you so much, Stefanie. I really appreciate this. For all of you guys on the call, FYI, Stefanie is a training center, so she's one of our on-site trainers. I'm sure she is going to be throwing her name in the hat to be part of the mentorship. I know for all of you summit attendees in August, we're doing a follow-up session with Stefanie to her this session. So be on the lookout for that. And then we are also looking to do like a market meeting kind of in I believe it's in August as well in Ohio, where we'll also tap into a little bit more BDR kind of in-depth stuff. And then there's an opportunity in October for you guys to send your BDRs out to do some more like in-depth training one-on-one. So instead of regional meetings this year, we're kind of doing these more like targeted meetings that are kind of like high-level financials or high-level BDR, which is kind of like the biggest pain points for every owner, not even just the new ones, even some of the 10-year owners, those are still kind of some pain points for them as well. So just kind of keep your heads up on the lookout for those. Those are going to be coming up. And then, yeah, reach out to Stefanie. She's great. She's done wonderful things in her little rural area covering the whole entire state of Montana. So
Thank you so much. It's good to see everyone.
awesome.
Thank you,
guys. We'll see
Stephanie.
you next time.
Bye.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.